Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the virtual event Kuwait Hybrid Cloud and Data Center Summit 2021 on connecting East to West with agility and resilience in the next normal, organized by the Rendezvous experts in partnership with DR United Company, VMware, Microsoft, Manage Engine, KuwaitNet, and Pedalinks. I'm Shalini, and I'll be your host for today's session. Firstly, I would still go ahead and introduce Mr. Mohammed Altura, our eminent chief guest, our honorable chief guest of the event. Mr. Altura is the chief of information technology sector at Communication and Information Technology Regulatory Authority, also known as CITRA. Mohammed has spent most of his career with Microsoft International after graduating BA Computer Science from University of Colorado in May 1993. Over the 19 years of experience with software giant, Mr. Altura has played multiple roles. Firstly, as a corporate sales manager in Dubai. Next, a copyright manager in Saudi Arabia, followed by being a manufacturing sector manager in Saudi Arabia, and then a public sector manager in Kuwait. Presently, he is the chief of IT at CITRA. Mr. Mohammed Altura is responsible for national IT governance public sector, also IT industry development and innovation, and Kuwait digital transformation.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you so much.
And I guess now we are passing a year and a half almost since the pandemic started. So we started to think about how can we use technology more and more to avoid interacting with people. And now it's becoming more of obvious that digital transformation is definitely one of the pillars that most countries are using in order for them to fight the pandemic and becoming more resilient and efficient. It speed up the process of the digital transformation. We have to admit that, but I will take it as an opportunity for all of us to reflect that we can do that continuous, whether there is a pandemic or after we finish from the pandemic. This journey has to keep going, and we'll discover more and more of benefits that we are doing into this journey. So now, starting with digital transformation, of course, things are changing. Even when I look at the report of the World Economic Forum, the special edition of GCI, it illustrates that digital transformation should be measured on the success of digital transformation shall be measured on four pillars. Pillar number one is the legislation, the role that the regulators are doing in order for them to speed up and make this happen. That's very important. So they establish the policies, for example, the cloud first policy, and make sure that this policy will take in effect with all the agencies, especially in the government sector, and move on to the other sectors such as education and healthcare and others. The second pillar would be the skill development. This I would put it on the top of the list because that's the most important pillar. When you have the skills, you can do wonders. And that would be one of the success pillars of the digital transformation. Number three is how flexible the technology is in terms of the workplace. So if you find most of the people who are doing digital transformation, that making it flexible to the customers, to the partners, to the employees, to do the same action anytime, anywhere. They don't have to be in a certain place. So that's very important to show how deep you're going with your digital transformation. And of course, we mentioned the legal part, we mentioned the skills, we mentioned the excuse me. So also we mentioned the workplace, and the last one, number four, would be focusing on the latest, the digital technology itself. So are we using public cloud? Are we doing a lot of on-premise? So the digital transformation is definitely uh, cloud driven technology. So how deep you are using the cloud would be number four. That's would be on page 18 on the latest edition of WEF, World Economic Forum, this year, 2021. So having said that, the cloud comes with different models. We all agree that. So if I'm an organization that would like to do a digital transformation, I should think about how much workloads first that I can take to the public cloud. And that will set me up to predict my OPEX every year. And I have not too much CAPEX, because in that case, I don't have to buy a data center. I don't have to buy infrastructure equipments. So I have to just rely on the CAPEX that's the provider are taking. So I just have to subscribe to that platform. And then we'll find that most, of course, everybody have a private data. So this private data is the key now. If you tell me this private data, it is not that much critical, that should be available 24 by 7, I will definitely not think about the hybrid model, because I would encrypt that data and put it in public cloud, and I would have the encryption key. It's only me as an organization that has the encryption key. Therefore, I will be fine if I put it on a public cloud, giving the public cloud accreditation is EU GDPR standard and NIST standard. They comply with both, which you find in Amazon and Microsoft and Google, what have you. So these are the main cloud providers. Uh, if I find a very critical data that I need it to be available no matter what, no matter what happens to the internet, things like that, then I would think about the hybrid model. So with the heterogeneous environment that you find in most of the government today, those environments are still there, that were built on legacy and some classical. I would now, because we want to differentiate between digital, we call the old IT classical. Uh, the classical environments, you'll usually find it very heterogeneous. So you have to invest a lot to do the hybrid. I mean, hybrid is lovely in many scenarios, but you gotta have to think about the criticality of this workload. Is it very critical to my business? Is it mission critical? I give you example, medical records, they have to be available all the time. That's example. So I have to know that this hybrid is does have capex and will run with OPEX as well, because you gotta have to build a new environment, buy latest hardware, and you come to your heterogeneous environment, you need to do some integration, and that it's cheaper than putting the whole data center on your premise, uh, but also it's a scenario that you have to think about. It's there. It's very good to be there. At least it makes, in many cases, that you feel the data center is sitting next to you, so you'll feel more of secured in some workloads, that you don't have to worry about internet hiccups or cable cut with the ocean. Whatever happens. Um, so you'll find those scenarios, but the majority of the scenarios you'll find that people should be using the public cloud, because of the cost of the infrastructure and cost of hardware and the running cost of TCO, the total cost of ownership, that can be out of control if you don't plan it very efficiently. So again, my advice, I don't want to go much deeper. We can, this is a panel discussion, we can have a good discussion, all of us, that I would think about what workload I should take care of to the public cloud first. Don't rush into hybrid right away. And then while you do that, you offload yourself of responsibility as a CIO, and try to become more free to do additional things, such as the great model called hybrid. Hybrid is good. Hybrid definitely is. Some people, when they do it right, it can really make a major cost effective. It reduces cost anyway, but I'm saying major. For example, when you talk about the premise versus public cloud, you're talking about around 60% without optimization. And then when you optimize the apps, maybe 80% saving. So a similar thing to the hybrid versus putting a data center on premise. And make sure the people, again, the people, the skills, the four pillars we talk about, the people, legislation of the regulator is very important for this journey to happen. Number three is workplace flexibility, so that you don't have to have one place for people to come or people to work or partners to meet like we are doing now. So it can be flexible, and the more you're flexible in that, for example, New Zealand is number 2 in the world in that pillar, which is very impressive. And number 4, using cloud computing in this success of digital transformation is a key, because that will drive the cost much down and introduce great technologies such as IoT and blockchain, AI, all of these good things. So that's all I have to summarize in this great morning. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed Altura. In fact, some real good insights that you have, told us today with regards to hybrid cloud and public cloud. Definitely would be, something what the industry should look after. Yeah. So, Shalini, over to you. Do you have any comments to be made?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed Altura, for giving us your precious time. We definitely value your precious time and joining us today. There are a lot of delegates who are listening to you, who have joined to listen to you. We have already given that information that yesterday that you will be joining us today. So they all were waiting. So thank you so much for graciously inaugurating the session. And we definitely appreciate your time and looking forward for more such a keynote presentation from your end in the future summits as well.
Looking forward for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good day ahead, sir.
Thanks.